All right. So the defense, though, I thought the defense, despite giving up some points in the second half, came out and took charge, was aggressive, was in the backfield, didn't miss tackles, was breaking up passes, just all over the FAU quarterback, Robeson. And for me, the defensive effort, when it mattered, to me was more impressive than what the offensive did on that side of the ball. Kevin, your thoughts about that? I'll get us started with Kevin.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could sit there and just go into the secondary. Jeffrey Okuda showing a lot of reason why he's being projected as a potential first-round draft pick for the Buckeyes in the 2020 draft. But I mean, I think it really starts with what Chase Young was able to do. That one-handed sack that he had. I mean, he was credited with 1.5 sacks. Some people could make an argument that he probably should have had another half sack in there somewhere along the way. Jayshon Cornell, who was slotted to be playing 3-tech with the injuries to Tyreek Smith and Tyler Friday and Jonathan Cooper, was playing out on the edge. I mean, we talked to him tonight, and he talked about being at 285 pounds. Larry Johnson said that he does want to get him back into 3-tech once the depth is back there. But, he was doing a really good job here in his final year with the Buckeyes out on the edge. So, we saw a lot of things coming out of the defense that were very positive, especially since they were running relatively a pretty vanilla system. So, just imagine once they start dropping some more wrinkles in, but let's not overcomplicate things.
Right.
Because we saw what happened when they did that last season.
I agree, Kevin. We saw a lot of, back to basics, fundamentals. Guys were in position. Again, I'm going to go back to one of my favorite topics is discipline. We saw a very disciplined defense, not seeing a bunch of guys out of position and really sticking with tackles. And again, it's Florida Atlantic, but it's the fundamentals that weren't there at the beginning of the season last year playing a similar opponent.
I like the defense as a whole. I think the first team with Sean Wade thrown in there as kind of the third corner, those first 11 to 14 guys were awe-inspiring. As I like to say, they slammed Florida Atlantic's head, like they slammed their head in the car door or something. 32 plays, minus 14 yards total offense in the first half. And then the second half, they were playing backups on the very first series of the second half. Several guys who shall go remain nameless because they gave up plays. And one pass play in particular, a roughing the passer penalty, and just other breakdowns. They threw a little lob pass that had a couple of the young linebackers out of position, and it went for 30 yards to set up another score. So little dinks and little dunks, and they took what Ohio State gave them. The Buckeyes played off the Florida Atlantic receivers in the second half to keep everything in front of them for the most part, and Florida Atlantic netted 18 points in the second half and actually looked like a real football team. The comment, this is probably the 8th different place I've made it, but it's still, I think, very humorous nonetheless, is that Florida Atlantic quit in this game in reverse. They quit at the beginning and didn't even try, is my feeling, in the first half. Figured, well, let's just try and wear down Ohio State's fist with our chin. And then I think when their coaches got into them a little bit at halftime and added a couple wrinkles, obviously, they played much, much better in the second half and looked like an actual college football team in the second half. So add it all together, 45-21. It could have been worse. I don't think it could have been any closer. I mean, that was about as much as Florida Atlantic was going to muster against Ohio State. Even the second team defense got some stops. But, it could have been much worse. It could have been in the 50s to 21, had everything kind of gone according to Hoyle.
Yeah, defensively, what I liked is you still had 4 linebackers playing. There was a time where Pete Warner even drifted back to a deep safety on a third down, and Baron Browning played well, put all these different pieces together, and it was like Jeff Hafley has said he wants this defense to be plug and play. And even Jayshon Cornell said today that everybody knows the entire defense, and somebody asked him, does that mean he could play safety? And he said, well, he knows it, but he couldn't necessarily play it as a 285-pound defensive tackle. And Cornell also said that he's back at defensive tackle right now, which means that Tyreek Smith, Tyler Friday are probably good to go. They were game time decisions last week, and I don't believe either of them played, which is why Cornell was moved to defensive end. So he is back at defensive tackle now. I guess we'll see on Saturday if he stays there. But I think they need to be as strong in the middle as they can be with what Cincinnati's going to do with the way they run the ball, with the way they try to run the ball. It's not always pretty. And Michael Warren is a tough runner. They've talked about him quite a bit. He didn't, I don't think necessarily Cincinnati had a great day on the ground, but they keep trying. They keep, it's like Mark D'Antonio's offense. If you get 3 yards of carry, that's fine. It takes 40 carries. That means you've controlled the clock. You've kept the opponent off the field. And in this game, that would be a win for Luke Fickell, is to keep Ohio State's offense off the field. Ohio State's defense, though, if they played like they did early in that game, or actually in the whole first half, if they get a bunch of 3-and-outs, then you're going to see where they maybe get 14 points on the board, and Cincinnati's playing catch-up right away.